Daddy, that waitress looks like Mom. The man's heart skipped. He hadn't heard that name in years, not since the accident. Slowly, he turned toward the counter. And there she was, alive, smiling, and pouring coffee. Daddy, that waitress looks like Mom. The words sliced through the clatter of cutlery and conversation like a blade. Mark blinked, his hand frozen mid-reach for the sugar. What did you say, Bud? His son pointed toward the counter. Horror. The one pouring coffee. Mark turned, heart thudding against his ribs. It couldn't be. Not after all these years. But there she was. Same auburn hair twisted into a messy bun. Same delicate fingers, same laugh. Even the tiny mole on her left cheek, the one he used to kiss before bed. For a moment, the diner blurred. Memories hit like a storm, the crash, the funeral, the casket he couldn't bring himself to look into. He stood, legs numb, and walked toward her. She glanced up, caught his gaze, and smiled. Hi there. Coffee? She asked, voice bright, warm. Mark stared. Emily? She blinked. Sorry? He faltered. Her name tag read Emma. Not Emily. Her eyes so close, yet not quite. Confused, she tilted her head. You okay, sir? Mark nodded slowly, retreating. Yeah. Just thought you were someone else. Back at the booth, his son frowned. Wasn't that Mom? Mark shook his head. No. Just someone who looked like her. But as he glanced back one last time, she was staring after him too, brow furrowed, hand trembling slightly, like maybe she recognized him. And outside, the wind whispered through the trees. Just maybe, echoes never really fade. Daddy, that waitress looks like Mom. James looked up from his menu, startled. His daughter, Lily, stared wide-eyed toward the counter. He turned to see what had caught her attention and froze. There, behind the counter, stood a woman with chestnut hair tied back in a loose braid. Her profile hit him like a punch. The slope of her nose. The curve of her jaw. Even the way she shifted her weight, exactly like Claire. But Claire had been gone for 3 years. The car went off the bridge. The body was never recovered, only fragments of what she'd been wearing. James stood, his knees weak, and approached the counter. The woman turned as he neared, eyes meeting his. They were the same shade of stormy gray. His heart clenched. Hi there, she said. Can I get you something? Her voice was softer. Not quite the same. A trick of memory, perhaps? I'm sorry, James stammered. You look exactly like someone I lost. She smiled gently, but something flickered behind her eyes. Recognition? Pain? I hear that a lot, she replied. People say I have one of those faces. But her hand trembled as she poured the coffee. And when he turned to leave, he caught her whispering something under her breath. James. He looked back, but she was gone, vanished into the kitchen. Lily tugged his sleeve. Was that her? He couldn't answer. Outside, Daddy, that waitress looks like Mom. The words pulled Tom out of his coffee-stained thoughts. He followed his son's gaze across the worn vinyl booths and flickering neon lights. A waitress moved gracefully behind the counter, refilling mugs with practiced ease. Then she turned. Tom's breath caught. It was her face, or one so like it hurt to look. Her eyes, the way she tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear, even the way her lips curved in that half-smile she used when pretending everything was okay. But his wife, Rachel, had died 2 winters ago. He had seen the wreck, seen the cold sheet draped over her body. This couldn't be real. Can I help you? She asked, approaching their booth. Her voice so close. Tom felt the years fall away. Sorry, he muttered. You look like someone I knew. She tilted her head, eyes narrowing just slightly. I get that sometimes. She lingered a beat too long. Her hand hovered over the table like it wanted to touch his. Her name tag read Ray. Not Rachel. But close. Too close. As she walked away, Tom noticed a small scar behind her ear. Rachel's scar. One he had traced 1,000 times. Outside, dusk melted into the diner windows. Inside, memories stirred beneath the smell of coffee and pie. He wasn't sure what haunted him more, the woman who was gone or the one still standing there. Some déjà vu doesn't come from dreams. It comes from grief. Ben nearly dropped his fork. His daughter, Mia, sat wide-eyed, staring at the woman behind the counter. He turned, expecting a coincidence. But the woman wiping down the counter wasn't just familiar, she was Emily. Same honey blonde hair. Same posture. Even the tiny tattoo on her wrist, the one she got on their honeymoon. His breath hitched. This couldn't be. Emily died 2 years ago. A house fire. He buried what remained. He stood, legs heavy, and walked toward her. She looked up as he approached, her eyes locking onto his like she'd been expecting him. Ben, she whispered. Not sir, not can I help you, but his name. You're supposed to be gone, he said, voice cracking. Her lip trembled. I tried to come back. But you stopped looking. The air thickened. A chill danced up his spine. The diner buzz faded into silence. Mia called from the booth, but Ben couldn't move. Emily, or whoever this was, reached out, her fingers grazing his hand. Cold. Real. I never left, she said, tears in her eyes. You did. And just like that, she turned and walked into the kitchen. He followed only to find a swinging door, an empty prep area, and no sign of her. Back at the booth, Mia looked up. Is Mom coming home? Ben sat down, pale and shaking. Maybe she never left. Maybe she never could. Nathan's coffee cup stopped halfway to his lips. He followed his daughter Ellie's gaze and felt his heart jolt. There she was, standing behind the counter, laughing softly with a customer. The same auburn curls. The same dimples. And that smile, the smile that used to light up their home. But Maria had died. A year ago to the day. He remembered every second of it, rushing to the hospital, holding her hand as the beeping slowed, watching her slip away. He hadn't dreamed of her in months. Not until last night, when she smiled at him in that same soft way, whispering, I'll see you soon. Now here she was. He approached the counter, heart pounding. She turned, and their eyes met. Can I help you? She asked, her smile faltering just slightly. He searched her face, willing some difference to break the illusion. But no, it was Maria, down to the tiny scar on her chin from that clumsy honeymoon fall. You look just like my wife, he said quietly. I get that a lot, she replied, but her voice trembled. You even smile like her. Her eyes flicked past him, toward Ellie. For just a second, they filled with tears. I hope she made you smile too, she whispered, then turned away. Nathan stood frozen. Back at the table, Ellie held something in her hand, a crumpled receipt with a note in familiar handwriting. She's still with you. Always. Caleb's spoon clinked against his bowl. His son, Max, was pointing toward the counter, eyes wide. Caleb followed his gaze and felt his stomach drop. She stood behind the counter in a pale blue apron, scribbling on an order pad. The resemblance was impossible. The way she brushed her hair back. The curve of her smile. It was her. Emma. Gone for 5 years. Drowned in a storm-swollen river. They never found the body, just her apron, tangled in the reeds. And yet, here she was. He rose and approached, heart thundering. She looked up and smiled politely. Coffee? Her voice was identical. Caleb blinked, his voice barely a whisper. Emma? The waitress's expression didn't change. Sorry? He swallowed. You just look like someone I lost. She paused, fingers tightening around the pot. People say I remind them of someone. All the time. Her eyes met his, and for a heartbeat, something flickered. Recognition? Regret? He turned to glance at Max, and when he looked back, she was gone. He spun around. No swinging door, no footsteps. Just an empty counter and a slowly cooling pot of coffee. Back at the table, Max clutched something. Daddy, she gave me this. It was a faded photo Emma, in that same apron, holding baby Max. On the back, I'm still watching over you. Let go. Caleb sank into the booth, trembling. Some ghosts don't haunt houses. They haunt hearts and wear aprons.